Hi, Banana Recap here. Today I am going to explain a film called Knock Knock. Watch out and take care. The movie opens with photos showing a loving family. We then join Keanu Reeves, playing Evan, fooling around in bed with his wife before they are interrupted by their two children to wish Evan a happy Father's Day. Karen, Evan's wife and kids are set to go away for the weekend while Evan has to stay home and work. Louis, a family friend, drops off some books that Karen has had produced. A statue arrives for the garden before the family leave to go to the sea, while Evan and their dog stay home alone. They drive off for a lovely weekend. That night sees a heavy thunderstorm. Evan is listening to music while home alone and working on his computer when his family FaceTime him. From outside the house, you are given the impression someone is looking inside. While back at work designing a house and having a smoke, the music goes off, and he hears a knock at the front door. When he opens the door, he is presented with two stunning young ladies who they ask for a family name that he's unaware of. They claim a taxi had dropped them off and they are lost. One of the ladies sneezes and he hands her a handkerchief before allowing them to come in and use his phone. They then ask to use his computer, which he agrees. When inside, he goes to grab them some towels to dry off as well as an iPad. Belle introduces herself while Genesis uses the iPad. Within moments, Belle starts to flirt with Evan, which he seems oblivious to. They claim the address they wanted is miles away, and Evan orders them an Uber, which will be 45 minutes. They ask to throw their clothes into Evans's dryer, which he awkwardly agrees to. Both ladies join Evan, who is making them a hot drink. He puts their clothes in the dryer. When he returns, they are dancing to music and playing with the family dog, called Monkey. Evan tells the ladies he used to be a DJ when he was younger, and that he is now 43. He tells them his family are away at present before the ladies come in for a hug, making him feel uncomfortable. They look at a picture of Karen while they look at all the sculptures she created. The flirting continues and Belle swiftly turns the conversation to this, and how he must do it all the time with his wife. Evan tries to shrug off the flirting while the Uber is still 20 minutes away. Genesis and Belle think that being with only one person isn't natural. They tell Evan they are both flight attendants. Evan's eyes is starting to fall for their flirtatious selves. With the Uber only 5 minutes away, Genesis goes to the bathroom. Belle has Evan put on a different piece of music. She starts to dance in a provocative manner, all while Evan's eyes are drawn to her. He starts to show off his DJ skills as she dances for him. Belle pulls Evan into dance as she tells him how good of a time they are all having. She removes her gum as she goes in to kiss him. He pulls away at the last second, just as the Uber arrives. Evan grabs their clothes. As he gives them the clothes, they are both in the shower waiting for him. As they continue to touch him, he tries to stop them time and time again, but soon he comes under their seduction and ends up sleeping with them both, first in the shower and then in the family bed. We then cut to Evan in bed with them both asleep. In the morning, Evan is in bed alone. He wakes up, his wedding ring on the sideboard and missed messages from his wife. He hopes to find both Belle and Genesis. He approaches them in a rage as they are making breakfast in his kitchen and acting very childish. The kitchen has been trashed as they continue to act like children and referring to him as daddy. He takes a call from his wife in the garden as both Belle and Genesis try and distract him. He returns inside in anger, trying to get them both to leave, which is proving extremely difficult. Belle continues to try and seduce him as he's trying to get them to leave. He waits outside for them both, but they don't show up. He finds them damaging his wife's statue. As he tries to call their parents, they tell him they are both only 15, and that if he calls anyone they will tell them he is a predator, telling him he will get minimum 15 to 20 years in prison. They tell him they lied about being flight attendants. He tries to pay them to leave. They tell him they are not hookers. Vivian, a family friend, arrives, but he tells her she can't come in. It's then Genesis comes out while caressing him. She leaves in anger. Back inside, Evan is angry and tries to force them to leave. In anger, he starts to choke Genesis, but she tells him he doesn't have it in him before he releases her. He's notably upset and frustrated. Evan calls 911, but Genesis hangs up the phone before asking for a ride. After an awkward car ride, he drops them off at what he believes is their home. As soon as they are out of the car, he drives off. They don't enter the house, but swiftly walk away. Evan cleans up his family home as if nothing had happened, trying to forget the previous night. He finishes cleaning up his home and returns to work. He hears a noise and investigates, now paranoid. In the room, he sees a family photo smashed on the floor. It's then Genesis knocks him unconscious from behind with a sculpture. They tie him to the bed. He wakes up as Genesis is doing her makeup. He can't get free as he claims he's a good person. He can't free himself. Belle joins him wearing his daughter's school uniform and calling him daddy. She removes her underwear before standing over him. He asks to be untied as Belle tells him she loves him as Genesis doesn't. He can't free himself. He continues to beg to be freed. Genesis writes it was not a dream on the mirror as Belle slaps Evan. It's then they hear his phone that he's late on. It's his wife on FaceTime. They agree not to answer the phone as long as Evan sleeps with Belle again. As Belle sleeps with Evan as he's tied up, Genesis disappears. Evan is able to free himself and knocks Belle from him. He goes after Genesis, who is eating cake. As he goes to strangle her, she stabs him with a knife. Belle joins them and tells him he must be punished. They tie Evan to a chair and pretend to play a game. They then torture him with noises, nearly damaging his hearing. The questions and the punishment continue, asking him questions about how he should be punished, including prison or death. He doesn't answer. It's then Lewis turns up at the door. They cover Evan up. Lewis enters the house and Genesis pretends she is there filming a music video, which Lewis believes. As Lewis goes outside to collect the sculpture, he finds it covered in paint and damaged. He starts to panic and needs his inhaler. They tell him it was vandals who broke in. They then start to try and seduce Lewis. Lewis hears Evan, who is tied up. As he's untying him, they start to destroy the sculpture. He goes to stop them, but they've taken his inhaler, and he can't breathe. As he tries to get it back, he falls and cracks his head open, killing him. Both Belle and Genesis can't stop laughing. As Evan watches on, they turn Lewis's body into a sculpture and send a fake message from Evan to Lewis, telling him he will kill him if he sleeps with his wife again, and that he better disappear. They then load Lewis's body into his own van. They then want to continue the game show. They tell him how much of a bad person he is for sleeping with them, and that he doesn't deserve his family. They tell him he deserves death for his actions. He gets angry and starts to blame them for what happened. He tells them he tries to be a good guy, but that they seduced him. They then tell him he will be executed at dawn before Belle calls him daddy yet again. Belle and Genesis then dig what appears to be a grave in the back garden. While looking on, Evan sees his iPad and tries to get it. He uses voice control to try and call his wife. As it starts calling, they return and throw it in the garden. They then admit to spying on Evan prior to the night they arrived at his house. They change into new clothes and destroy more statues in the garden as time swiftly ticks by. They destroy the house, cut his hair, and continue to act like children. They continue to do more and more damage, and morning swiftly approaches. It's then they find a gun in a statue. Genesis gets Belle to untie Evan. Evan asks what they want, and Genesis tells him she wants to play hide and seek. They tell him he has 30 seconds. If they find him, they will kill him, but if he survives the 90 minutes till sunrise they will leave, and he will live. They continue to search for him, moving from room to room. Evan tries to leave the house but falls. They catch him. It's sunrise. A wide shot of the estate shows the calm beauty, before it cuts back to Genesis and Belle rolling Evan into the grave they had made for him. They sit him up, only his head above the hole as they fill the hole in. His head above the ground, he begs them. They remove his gag. They tell him he must call his family and tell them what happened. He agrees. He goes to leave a message, but he yells for them to call 911. They reinsert his gag and tell him knock knock. They tell him cheating will eventually get him killed as they are about to hit him over the head with a heavy statue. They smash it down but miss him intentionally. He's petrified and crying as they laugh. They tell him it's just a game, and he's not their first victim. They tell him they are not killers. They tell him they thought he'd be the first to say no, but he didn't, and that they are all the same. As they leave, they tell Evan they are 22 and show him his phone. On it is a video on his social media of him sleeping with them both. Belle and Genesis grab Monkey before leaving as Evan is left to watch on as he watches the video of him sleeping with them. The movie ends, the house destroyed and Evans's life in ruin just as his wife and family return home to see everything. Please like and subscribe, and click the bell icon to get new movie recaps.